My name is Alex Smith. I'm a student at UNC Greensboro. I'm an economics major, and I'm pursuing my education. So I'm here today to further participate in my recovery by being a part of this Spartan Recovery Program and just further advocate for students in recovery on campus through Recovery Zone training video to help people who are not familiar with recovery or unaware that there is students on campus who are in recovery, just to give them some help with how to better serve our community. I'm 29 years old. When I graduated high school, I came to UNCG, and I was here maybe 3 weeks and got kicked out of the dorms for drinking and drug using. And when I got into recovery, about a year into my recovery, I decided that I wanted to go back to school. And I started at the community college and knew that I wanted to transfer back to UNCG because even though I was here for a short time, I really did like the campus. I liked the atmosphere, and it's where I started my recovery here in Greensboro, and so I wanted to keep that continuity going. And so I'm back here. And it was scary. You know, I knew that going back to school, even when I was going to the community college, was going to be challenging. And so, I was talking with people in the recovery community here and coming up with strategies for how to cope with certain issues that might come up. And, my one goal was just to have perfect attendance. I was like, whatever grades I get, they'll be, but if I can just show up, that means that I'm working through those problems. And coming back to school at UNCG was particularly difficult because there was a lot of shame involved in my experience here as a freshman when I was 18. I remember going into the Dean of Students office and having to have that chat. And, I knew that coming back, there would be a lot of reminders of that time. I was in Grogan dorm, and every time I walked by there, I remember, hanging outside smoking cigarettes, or, my roommate. So coming back to school here and being involved in, Recovery Zone and the Spartan Recovery Program was essential in giving me a new outlook and a new, just creating new memories, but basically, because a lot of my experience in recovery, whether it's in school or elsewhere, this is where I grew up. So this is where all my active addiction took place. And it was really important to create new positive memories so I could, work through the old guilt and shame of what I did when I was not in recovery. It's great. I spoke with Dr. Carter at that Recovery Zone training, and I brought up the exact incident that I had as a freshman, and not sure if he remembered me, considering he sees a lot of students, I'm sure, but I just remember a change in his demeanor, and I don't know if that had to do with me or if that had to do with more with him, but there was a change, and it seemed like, just his awareness of what we have to go through living with a substance use disorder. Now he seems better equipped to help us, and to not, treat it as a punishment, but more as like, okay, how can we help these people, continue their education and not only just stay on campus, but thrive. So it was really cool to be on the other side of that and just be like, here's a perfect example. This works. Dealing with the guilt and shame of being here when I was 18, that was a struggle. But once I got through that, I'm an older student, 29 years old, and relating to the other students in my classes was pretty hard to do. And so my first semester here, luckily my first semester on campus, I got involved with the Smart Recovery program. However, it took a while to build that community and that relationship with the other students in recovery. And in that in between time, I felt kind of disconnected. And it wasn't anything that I think any of the other students did. It was just where I was at in my life and being at a different stage. So having having to build relationships with students in recovery really helped me kind of settle in, and it also gave me another avenue to practice my own recovery, because not only it's important for me to be able to access that wherever I'm at, and I know that being in school, I dedicate a majority of my time here. So it's important for me to still be able to participate in my recovery in a variety of different ways. And, so initially that was a struggle, just over time. And as this program grew, that became a little bit easier. So I think that was really the hardest part, was just feeling a part of, like, I belong somewhere, and that I didn't have to like hide, just sit in the back of the classroom and just do my work and go home, because that's not fun. No one wants to do that. It's interesting. It's very interesting, because I thought that I would always have some sort of separation from other students who aren't in recovery. And this last semester, I found it easier to create a relationship with them, even though they're younger than me, even though that, I'm going home to pay all my bills and pay a mortgage and doing these things, and just completely different struggles. I just felt more comfortable in class and able to just reach out. I think just feeling safe and feeling secure is like the foundation of any kind of growth. No matter what I want to do in life, no matter what goal I want to achieve, if I don't feel secure in where I'm at, I'm not going to be able to reach my goal, whether that's, to graduate college, or, build healthy relationships, or do whatever. And so, it's interesting now. I look forward to the next year here at school, and I see a lot of the challenges that I faced a year ago diminished greatly. Now I'm sure new challenges will come up, but I think it's a good thing to have new challenges instead of repeating old ones. So I look forward to the next year in a completely different mindset than when I did when I was first coming back on campus and like scared to like park my car in the parking deck. So it's nice. So the main thing I would want anyone who watches this or is interested in helping people to know that we are not a lost cause. I know for me, it was a struggle. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life to find recovery and to stay in recovery. And, I was speaking at a recovery meeting last night, and I mentioned how over and over and over and over again, time and time again, I would lie, manipulate, steal from my family, from my father, from my mother. And no matter what, they were still there to support me. And, sometimes I look back on those experiences and I'm like, how were you able to do that? Why didn't you give up? And I think that's really the most important thing, is to know that recovery works. It's a real thing, and it's worth it. Every student who comes through UNC Greensboro has an opportunity and deserves a chance to just be the best they can be. Whatever goal whether you want to, whether you want to cook food, whether you want to work in mathematics, whether you want to, work with animals, it doesn't matter. To be able to support each and every student in any way they can, especially during that transition from active addiction into recovery, it can be very challenging, and just to know that we are worth every minute and every effort. I think it's very important to have experience with recovery, with active addiction, and so when it comes to any administration or faculty, student, staff who wants to help, to find someone who knows how to help us and then do what they do. Because I think there's a lot of problems that arise when someone tries to help someone and they really don't know what they're doing, and then it actually backfires and creates a whole new set of problems, and maybe turns off a student from recovery that would otherwise participate. So I think that the most important thing is to remain humble and ask questions and stay teachable, and participate in recovery zone trainings. Come talk to us at the Student Health Center, because I think having that willingness to want to help people is vital, as long as you approach it the right way. Don't dismiss us, and that's for someone who's in recovery or someone who's looking to be in recovery. I know that when I was a freshman here on campus, I was a mess, and I'm still that same person. Granted, I'm in recovery now and I'm doing things differently, but it's not like there's a different Alex sitting here in front of you. I'm that same person who was here when I was 18. And, at the time, I felt, when I was told I would have to leave campus, I was angry. I felt like I didn't matter because, it was a first offense, and I was kicked off the campus, and for me that was it. Once I'm off campus, I'm not coming back. And so something not to do or something to do would just be to not, I'm trying to think of a different word. Just don't dismiss someone who's sitting in front of you. We're a real person. We're not a number on a file that you have to just get through the day with. Like, there's a person sitting in front of you. So listen and be attentive. And creating opportunities for students in recovery is very important, but I think it's also important to realize every student in recovery is not the same. I think that for me personally, I know that in my own recovery, when I was in early recovery, say I had 90 days of sobriety, that was a different person than I am with 4 years. And so it's important to, individualize and know who the person is you're addressing, because I couldn't handle certain things when I had 3 months that I can handle now. At the same time, I needed opportunities at that time to see, to grow and to learn, and to build a resiliency, so I could attack bigger goals in the future. So I think when it comes to providing opportunities for students in recovery, and just creating an atmosphere to where I feel safe is probably the two biggest things I could advocate for. It means a lot, because I immediately identify with that. And so for a student in recovery, I know that when I see a water bottle or a butterfly pen or a recovery zone magnet, or a recovery campus magazine sitting on the table, I know that I feel welcome in this space. I know that I can go in there and talk to whoever that person is, and understand that they know why I'm here and they can hear me. It's important for someone, I think, it's important for my teachers and my faculty and the people who I go to understand, like, if they know that I'm in recovery, to know what that means, and to know that I'm not, it's important to know what recovery means rather than what addiction means. And a lot of times, if I'm in some kind of situation to where I have to explain my past, like when I was trying to get into school and have to talk to the admissions and stuff like that, when they see that I got kicked out, um, it immediately creates a picture in their head. But when I see a recovery zone training, on the admissions door, that lets me know that, okay, I think they understand. They understand that that was my past and this is what I'm doing now. And so I just feel more relaxed and able to be honest about what I'm here for. So, yeah, I don't have to hide, and it goes both ways. I think I also, um, in turn, I give respect, which is also, I think, important. Students in recovery come from everywhere, all backgrounds, and there's not, in my experience, there's not a one-size-fits-all blueprint for that as a student in recovery. Now, while that can be uh, a problem, I also think it's more of an asset, because we have so much to offer in so many different ways, so many different areas. I have friends that are artists, I have friends that are dancers, I have friends that are musicians, I have friends that are accountants, I have friends that are lawyers, I have friends, doctors, eh, you know, janitors. It's just all encompassing. And so when it comes to what students in recovery can offer, there's no threshold. And so I think the value of recovery and the value of students here at UNCG almost can't be measured. You can look at our GPAs, you can look at, what our major is, but you don't see the interactions we have outside the classroom. You don't see, the late night phone calls we have with each other or with other people who reach out to us. And so it creates this web of, positivity that is hard to, quantify. And I think with the Spartan Recovery Program, Recovery Zone trainings, I think we're starting to shine a light on that infrastructure. And the longer we're here, the brighter we'll shine. We are doing great because of the Spartan Recovery Program. Like I said, when I first got to campus, or when I was at the community college where there is no program, I did not feel safe. Within the first, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks, I pull up to the parking lot and I look over and there's someone next to me who's, using drugs. And for me, that was very threatening. And I didn't, I had to go to class. So like I'm walking into class and I'm just like sitting in the corner all by myself, just stuck in my own head. And if there would have been a recovery program there, or if I would have gone to class and saw a recovery magnet on the door, I would have felt safe. I would have known that, okay, if I need to talk to my teacher, I can tell them and I can explain to them, I'm struggling today. I need some help. And so, just because, yes, we are doing well in recovery, and I think that's the whole point. You have to have that foundation, and without that, if you take that away, the rest falls apart. So, regardless of how well we're doing, it is not because of some other thing that's going on. It's a direct result of what happens at the SRP, and begins with these recovery zone trainings. I'm grateful for Spartan Recovery Program. I did not expect, when I signed up for college, I did not expect this. And I think it is as important as any class I take. And to participate in it in my own time has completely changed my college experience. So I love it. I would say keep an open mind. I remember that recovery zone. I was actually in a recovery zone training, and I was hearing what people were saying, and I'd never heard of it before. I didn't know what collegiate recovery was. I had no idea, and in my mind, I didn't see I didn't see the benefits. I was like, I'm hearing what you're saying, but I don't understand how that's going to help me. And thank God I had some friends who um, encouraged me to just keep coming, and keep your ears open. And I did that, and I think I have some of the strongest friendships and relationships today as a result of not putting my head in the sand and thinking, oh, this isn't important, and just giving the program a chance to actually prove me wrong. Because I'm very skeptical. I'm always skeptical. I question everything. It can be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. But at the end of the day, if you want to see what collegiate recovery is all about, you have to show up. I think that's the best. That's the one suggestion that was given to me and worked. And um, I'm really glad I kept coming. Yeah.